We're told by the Speaker that any deal that emerges from the Senate, which we haven't even seen yet, is DOA in the House. We're hearing from Donald Trump that we don't need a bill anyway, as he gathers more momentum against a potential deal. Are you frustrated by this? We haven't even read it yet.
Well, first of all, I think Chuck Schumer must have been watching your show that day, and that's why he's finally decided to take this issue seriously and look to pass something in the Senate.
We like to think so.
Whatever passes in the Senate, though, that's going to be their priorities, right? The House has already passed our bill. We passed it in May. We've been waiting for the Senate to do something so we can negotiate from there. So certainly we're not going to pass the Senate bill as is. We're going to want to see some of our priorities in there. But one of the things that I think is alarming is they want to still allow 1.8 million individuals to cross into our country via the border. Remember, everybody that's crossing into the country from the border is paying the drug cartels thousands of dollars to be smuggled here. Nobody's passing the Rio Grande without paying their dues to the cartels. So we cannot continue to enable that. We cannot continue to allow women and children to be abused and raped and go this treacherous journey. What we should be doing is urging people to apply the right way from the next safe country. What I would suggest is we institute the border provisions from our Border Security Act. We shut down the flow. Then we deal with the millions of people that are in the backlog right now. We need more judges to do that. Let them get through these cases. Let them get through the 10-year backlog. We have people that have been waiting for asylum that came the right way, did everything right, have been waiting patiently, like my constituents, since 2017, and they're getting pushed further down the line because the president is giving priority to the people who are coming over the border. Their cases are being heard first. That's not right. So let's get through this backlog. Then we can talk about what are the work needs of our employers here in our economy. We can issue more employer-sponsored visas, family-sponsored visas. We got to get this thing under control before we can do anything, and it's a step-by-step approach.
Well, it is a question of when it should be brought under control, because it seems former President Trump doesn't think that this should be acted on until he perhaps takes the Oval Office again once more. I'd like to point, though, to a letter that Donald Trump, wrote to Congress back in 2019 on the issue of border security. He said it is time for both parties to rise above the partisan discord, set aside political convenience, and to put the national interest first. If the House does, as Trump wishes, and does not pass a border security deal now, is that putting national interest first?
Well, first of all, I think what the president's saying is don't accept a bad deal. I mean, if they're going to go back to the provisions of the Trump administration, which we have many of those remain in Mexico, ending catch and release, and a couple of others in our bill, then, that's a good deal for the American people. But we shouldn't take a bad deal under the guise of border security if there's actually no real security in it. We're not going to accept 1.8 million people coming through the southern border, claiming asylum, clogging up the immigration system with false asylum claims, because we know more than 50% of these claims are illegitimate, while we have really good people who have been here, they've done everything right, and they're stuck in this red tape and being pushed further down the line. That's not right. But if it's a good deal, I think we should accept it if it's going to do what we really need. Look, time is of the essence here. I am very concerned as a New Yorker in a post-9/11 world. I've been saying this for a long time now. I'm very concerned about what could happen at any time. We have our ally at war. We saw American soldiers under attack continuously, over 160 different attacks around the Middle East. 3 of them just passed away, were killed, sadly, by Iran proxies. Iran is threatening U.S. to commit an attack on our soil. We've got to be serious about this. And the person who doesn't seem to have urgency is President Biden.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Does it help us get closer to a deal on the border by impeaching the Homeland Security Secretary, who's essentially carrying out orders from the president and has a seat at the negotiating table?
Well, quite frankly, I mean, he has been absolutely useless in securing our border. I mean, he has abdicated his responsibility, has violated Immigration Naturalization Act provisions. We don't, I think we're trying to send a real strong message to the Biden administration that we're not playing around here. This is about our national security. It is serious, considering what is happening to our allies and our soldiers in other parts of the world. And I would say the person who is the one who's preventing us from having a deal is not President Trump. It's President President Biden. And remember, we don't need legislation. We can secure this border today if he just undoes his executive orders. He came in day one, passed multiple executive orders that rescinded the policies of the Trump administration that were working in stemming the flow. He took about 60 different actions on the border, all to keep it open and allow the crisis that we're seeing today. We haven't seen this under any president, Republican or Democrat. So Joe Biden could do this without any act of Congress. We're simply saying we're going to do everything we can to try to push real border security, but allowing 1.8 million a year like Senator Schumer wants is not securing the border. That's legalizing what is happening at the border and enriching the cartels further.
Congressman, just quickly, in our final moment with you, Congresswoman, there's another deal that is on the table here, could potentially get a vote on the House within the next week or two, and that is the tax deal. But your colleagues from New York, Congressman Lawler, Congressman Despacito, and others, are trying to hold that up because of the SALT issue. Why are you not with them on that?
Well, I actually do support getting something for SALT relief. I think we can perhaps double the SALT deduction for married couples. I've talked about increasing the deduction as well. I think there's different pieces that we can do here, but I think that the provisions that are in the existing tax bill, which is a mini package, they need to go. We got to get those wins out the door because so many of our businesses are relying on it. These are R&D, research and development, that foster innovation, certainly allows companies also to invest in equipment, the bonus deduction. These are things that were in place by President Trump under Tax Cut and Jobs Act that have expired. We need to get that stuff out the door now. SALT, as you know, expires in 2025. That is where I believe we would have the most leverage to get something done. However, we're pushing now to see if we can get a vote on some type of SALT relief. And if we could do that, it would be fantastic. And we're actually, getting, you'd be surprised, some of the people that are actually supporting us in these efforts. We've got members of the Freedom Caucus that are saying that they would be supportive of some type of SALT provision as well because they recognize the abuse that New Yorkers and people around the country are taking as a result of Democrat governors and mayors. The thing is, we want to give SALT relief and we want the people to be able to keep that money. That harder. We don't want to give SALT relief and then see the governors and the mayors raise taxes more and take it away. That's the big question.
All right, Congress.